They say that a smart person learns from his own mistakes and a wise person learns from the mistakes of others. And this, I think, is relevant to benefiting from the four schools, because some people, a small section of the Muslim Ummah has an insufficient respect for the four schools, just as a small section has maybe a little bit of an extreme reverence for some of the four schools. And so they kind of represent maybe this sort of dialectic where they're reacting to each other. But, you'll get people all the time, if you give them, well, Imam Ahmed said this, and this is, Abu Hanifa's opinion, and this is Shafi'i's opinion. We'll say, well, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? And the implication is that we're disrespecting the Prophet ﷺ by not going directly to his statements, okay? And that's an insult. That's an insult to us, and it's an insult to a Shafi'i and to Abu Hanifa and to Ahmed, because they are the ones who gathered those traditions in the first place, right? In addition to the other compilers of hadith. They're the ones who studied them and interpreted them and gathered the understandings of the Salaf about those statements, right? A lot of people don't realize, if you're going to say that we follow the Quran and the Sunnah and the understandings of the Salaf, okay, first of all, they're Salaf. So their understandings are what you just said that you are going to follow. And they also gathered the understandings of the Salaf before them, the understandings of the companions. The majority of the opinions that are found within the schools actually trace themselves directly back to the companions, okay? And so what you're benefiting from when you go to a madhab is that you're benefiting from the Sahaba and their students, right? They've collected it, they've compiled it, they've weighed the different sorts of evidence, things that you're not qualified, right? You get people in the comment section all the time sounding off as like, well, you should do this, and this hadith says this. And like Sheikh Abdullah always used to tell us, if you memorize something, there's 10 things you didn't memorize, right? It's never been about having a piece of evidence. Every single innovator has evidence. Every single heretic and crazy deviant, this sect and that sect has evidence, right? It doesn't matter that you have evidence. What does all of the evidence say? That's the method of the scholars, to gather all of the evidence on a particular issue and then see how they combine with each other and how they can, inform each other, restrict each other's import and significance, or clarify the meaning, etc., etc. Who's done all this work? Who's qualified to do all this work? Have you done all this work? Have I done all this work? No. Who did do it? Abu Hanifa did it. Malik did it. Shafi'i did it. Ahmed did it, right? So if I want to be a dummy, but if I want to be a dummy, I can play scholar. I can dress up and with the trappings of a scholar and wrap my turban and, put on the white thobe and go open the books and point to the hadith and say, this hadith says that, and that's it. I can play scholar if I want. But that's arrogance, because that's not what scholarship is about. Scholarship is about collecting all the evidence on an issue, seeing what all of the Salaf had to say about it, understanding the different ways in which it has been understood and weighing those understandings against each other, right? And having a concrete and consistent method of interpretation and philosophy of interpretation, so that you're not just going off the cuff left and right. Now you're over here on this issue. Now you contradict your method of reasoning and interpretation on this other issue, because you're just going about things in a chaotic manner. They've already done it. So yes, can they be wrong? Of course. Of course they can be wrong. They're human beings. They can be wrong. But just because they can be wrong, and just because they, statistically speaking, were wrong about some things, doesn't mean you just throw out the baby with the bathwater. It doesn't mean you deprive yourself of benefiting. You're going to reinvent the wheel. Go ahead and reinvent the wheel with the rest of your life. Go back to, grinding your flour with a, stone mill and, making your bread. I mean, that's cool. I actually like that stuff. I would like to understand how to do those things. But if you're not, that's what you want to do when it comes to the religion, and you're not qualified to do it. So what's going to be the result? Benefit from the madhabs. The madhab is a way to save you, the average person. Save yourself. Don't delude yourself that you can sort of access all this sort of stuff and figure it out on your own. Save yourself. Benefit from what they said, their opinions. Take everything with a grain of salt, okay? But realize that, you will have done your due diligence, right? If you depend on the four schools, the madhabs, in your fiqh and in your worship and in your devotion.